What is a game? Welcome to Philosopher's Corner. I'm John. What is a game? So a game is organized play that has rules and a goal. It can have one player. It can have infinite players. But it has rules, it has a goal. So games are part of the universal human experience. We have anthropological records showing a game existing as far back as 2600 BC. And, I think it's safe to assume probably whenever humans got together, whenever they started clumping in groups, somebody came up with the idea of a game even before that. Because we have games super far back in history, and they cut across every culture, and they cut across everything. Humans love to play games, and we love to create games and play games. So a game, it's organized play, and it has rules. Some people have described it as overcoming unnecessary obstacles. Some people, people have spoken at length about why they think games exist and like what they provide. So why is it? So really the question is like, why is it a part of the universal human experience? Because it's pretty simple what it is. It's organized play with a set of rules and a goal, and you have players, right? And why is it part of the universal human experience? Why do we keep doing it, right? Because we need it. Obviously it shows us some way to construct a worldview. It gives us an opportunity in a safe environment to engage in a reality. Because what is the game? The game is reality. It's a world, has its own rules, has its own goals, and it puts you in to that world either by yourself, which means you're playing with the world itself, right? Because it could be a video game, or it could be a board game, or a card game like Solitaire, or if you're playing it single person, it's you in the world versus the rules of the game, trying to navigate the rules of the game to achieve some goal that's set out before you. In Solitaire, you're trying to get all the suited cards together in a certain sequence, and it doesn't really matter because the game is always just that. You can be playing Pac-Man or Solitaire or anything if you're playing solo, or any, first-person shooter. You're playing essentially in a video game. If you're playing a single-person video game, you're playing against the algorithm. You're playing within the confines of all the programmers' minds that have put software and algorithms into a video game, and now you're navigating essentially their algorithm, and it's compelling you to make certain decisions and react in certain ways and put in certain inputs, so that essentially you can just get to the end screen. Like that's the goal of any single player video game, is just to get to the end screen, really. And you get awarded points and whatever based on the rules of the game, right? So part of the part of the game, like some games make it so that you don't find out rules until you follow rules to unlock certain levels and certain new rules. And some games have it built in where the rules can be changed, right? Like Dungeons and Dragons is a game of creativity and imagination, where one of the rules is that rules can change, or rules can be expanded, or things are fluid, built into the overall structure of the rules of the game. Still, the end goal is to basically see the end screen. And in games, it's interesting because games are finite. So they give us, as we enter into a game, not only are we preparing ourselves to do something that we have a feeling is going to be enjoyable, because games typically are for amusement. They're not always, because some games are for training, and those aren't necessarily for amusement. They may be for like survival or whatever. But like games that you're entering into for amusement or enjoyment, Part of that enjoyment is that you mentally know you can enter into a realm that has, it's a finite timeline. You're going to begin, you're going to end, there's going to be completion, and in that cycle, there's going to be experiences that are open for analysis, right? Especially in multiplayer games. When you start playing with other people, the game acts as a catalyst for human interaction, which probably explains the universality of it. Because it seems that bringing people together is typically there's a universal principle involved in bringing people together for constructive time windows. Because when you imagine people coming in to play a game together, whether it's like a board game, it's Monopoly or chess or backgammon, it doesn't really, it's literally any game, you just put these people in a philosophical thought exercise for game, right? You just have a blank space, call it a tesseract or whatever, but like a blank room, right? It's white walls, there's a table, and just imagine a game, generic game on the table, and you just imagine whatever people, generic people around it playing it. And then furthermore, you can imagine generic people around them watching them play it, right? So that's another function that games do. But like remembering that all those people, those generic people in that room, they're only in that room because there's a game and because they feel an attraction to it, right? And then you have the players, and you have the spectators, you have an audience, and you have a scene, right? Remember all those generic people in the room, this thought exercise, they could just be out in the overall infinite reality doing anything else. They could be out literally just doing anything in the reality because they're aware, conscious people having an experience in the universe. They could be out on a river, they could be meditating in a monastery, they could be at a buffet in Vegas, they could be doing anything, right? But they're all in this room playing this game or watching this game. They could be doing anything else. That's the power of a game, is that they're in this room, people around the board, they want to play this game, they want to win this game, at least some of them want to win this game ostensibly. The game's arbitrary. The game is a variable. The game is anything. The game is any set of rules for organized play that will bring these people together. And then in some cases bring an audience to watch them play. It's emanating and it's attracting because these people are coming in out of the reality and not doing other things in the reality to play the game. I think it's an important part of this analysis is that games have that effect all the way back as far as we can look in human history. It doesn't matter anything else that's going on in the reality. People always have time for games, to play games, to create games, to love games, to watch people play games. I mean, people will sit on the internet and watch people play video game replays all day. I've done it. Why? It's entertaining. Why? Because you're getting to watch people be people. You get to watch them analyze things. You get to watch how they are coordinated. You get to watch how they interact. You get to watch them give themselves in the pursuit of something, whether it's problem solving or teamwork or analytical thinking, or if depending on what the nature of the game is, because the nature of the rules of the game highlight different aspects and different talents of the people participating in the game, right? Some games are fun and silly and they reward fun and silliness, or acting, like a game of charades or Pictionary or something like that, where you have to act things out. Oh, okay, cool. People can act are extroverted. They, are empathic. They like get to show what they got, to the audience or to their friends, or just to win the game, to show themselves, right? As opposed to, oh, we're gonna play chess and it's super deep and introverted, almost totally intellectual. Ding, 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 ding. Yes, my strategy is the best. To playing skee ball, where it's just like it's fun to throw a ball in a 1,000-point hole with the promise of prize tickets and stuffed animals, right? And each game attracts different types of people and different types of skills and different types of winners. And in that room where we have all these generic people just looking at this like generic game, we can see that a game is a powerful, attractive concept for human beings. We've done the science. throughout history. Games attract people, and people love games. And they love it because it's a multidimensional experience. We can be the player, we can be the audience, we can be both. We can be in a world, we can be out of the world. We can be winners, losers, we can do all these things. And there's for a true game, I mean, I guess you can take games and take it over the edge, but most games are safe. I suppose philosophically speaking, many games are very dangerous and even lethal. If we're going to be really philosophical, yeah, I mean, some people do play Russian roulette, and some people do other things, and some people adopt a game mentality about life itself because they see life as just a series of rules of goals, and that life itself is a game, and they live as such. And a lot of people do that. And there is some credence to the theory that if you find certain games, if you play enough games and you have enough game strategy and whatever, or you're good enough at games, that you see parallels between what's occurring in game world and playing games and applicable life lessons. If one can assume that a game has, is an appropriate microcosm for the life the life lessons and principles that are playing out, they're trying to apply them to. So game, right? Already these powerful games. People love to play them. We love to make them, and they resonate and they bring people together, and they gain interest and traction, and they give us a through line on certain things. Also, in terms of its universality, games are something you can go back to because the rules, they really don't, they're not supposed to change. Most of the time they don't. But assuming the rules don't change, it's something you can go back to. It's familiar. You can get better at it. You can see yourself grow at it. It gives you calibration in addition to being fun and social and all these other things. It's a reliably enjoyable part of life for a lot of people, and that keeps us coming back. It can and does benefit us in terms of life skills. That's a fact. Depending on the game, depending on the rules, depending on what it teaches you. Not all games, but games in general. Philosophically, I believe that if it weren't beneficial to humans to have games, then games would have disappeared a long time ago. I mean, there's obviously activities that don't benefit humans that we don't really talk about because they didn't benefit us, so they didn't stick around, right? But games do. We love games, and they stick around, and they have benefit and utility, and they stimulate many of the advanced skills that we have, and we have them for all ages and all walks of life and all enjoyment levels. It's one of those things that all humans can enjoy. Games, and even it's a need. It's a mental need. It's an emotional need to play games. For the intellectual parts, for the emotional parts, and for the social parts. Hey, how are you?
Your girlfriend? How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm not okay. It's a war,
Yeah, I love it.
Good.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Oh, it's right here. Yeah, for this, I'm skimming it for this episode.
Nice.
Thanks.
Yeah. Good to see you.
Likewise. Have a good day. Right. So a lot of people, games provide a lot, and it's really a mental need and a spiritual need to be able to exercise these things. Because human beings, if we look at games in relation to humans, we have tremendous problem solving abilities, creation abilities, just mental perspective and spiritual abilities in general. And they need to be exercised, they need to be satisfied, and they need to be validated too. So games are a good way to sort of practice and exercise all of these skills that we have. And we find that we also enjoy this practice and exercise most of the time in a safe environment. Like I said, I mean, there's games that are not safe. So we have them, and they continue, and they're going to continue because they seem to be an integral part of the human experience, which we need and we grow on and we love. And it leads to all sorts of other deeper explorations of the universe and people and other things. So games, yeah, they help us make sense of stuff, and they give us a respite from the vast, undifferentiated space of life, and they're enjoyable. Okay, well, I mean, that's a good enough starter for games for this one. Obviously, leave your thoughts and let me know what's up. Always think for yourself. All right, guys, thanks for spending some time here at Philosopher's Corner. I hope you have a good day.